One of the first Supreme Court cases, Hylton v. U.S. in 1796, involved a carriage merchant from Virginia being sued by the United States over a tax of $16 per carriage. What he claimed as a reason for not paying was that Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution made it so only the states could issue a direct tax, such as the one on carriages, not the federal government, which could only issue indirect taxes. So what is a direct or an indirect tax? Well, in very basic terms, a direct tax is a tax on a person or property, while an indirect tax is a tax on some sort of transaction. To make it easy, think of it as the government needing to indirectly tax people through things they buy, rather than just taxing everyone evenly. The Constitution directly said that direct taxes were to be handled by the states. So what did the Supreme Court decide? Well, the judges ruled that the tax on carriages was not a per capita tax affecting the entire population, and was not a tax on land, so therefore it was an indirect tax, not a direct tax, meaning the federal government was within their constitutional rights when they issued the tax, and Hylton still had to pay. There are some interesting things going on in this case, but before I talk about the implications of the decision, I'll talk about the judges. First up, only 4 judges wrote opinions on this case. This is because one of the judges was sick and abstained because he felt it improper to rule on a case he had not heard, and one of the judges was not yet sworn in. Next up, they all wrote opinions, rather than the court issuing a single opinion. This is because in 1796, the court had not yet fallen into the convention of issuing a unified ruling for each case. Now, implications. First up, this case implies that income tax is an indirect tax rather than a direct, meaning that, in theory, the same court would have decided the federal government was allowed to take a tax out of everyone's paycheck. In theory. Although this was hinted at all the way back in 1796, the assumption that income tax was a direct tax remained until after the 16th Amendment was passed in 1913. I repeat, before 1913, the federal government was not allowed to tax the income of United States citizens. Another thing, this was the first time that the court was tasked with deciding whether or not a federal law was constitutional. Although they decided it was, the very fact that they did implied that they could reverse a federal law if they felt it to be unconstitutional. If you want to hear more cases like this, don't forget to like and subscribe.